If you want to handle something, first you do want to understand how that something works. So if you want to handle anxiety, perhaps you might want to first understand what it is. Let's take an example. Let's say there's a street out there somewhere in your neighborhood, and once you had a bad experience, you were trying to pass the street, but a car went by and almost it hit you. So that situation created an emotion. That emotion is fear. Now what happens afterwards is that you will try to avoid repeating that situation. So what you'll do is you'll not pass the street in that same point where you passed the other day. So what you're trying to do is you are trying to avoid the bad emotion, which is fear. So far so good. You avoid the situation, you avoid the emotion as well, so you're fine. The problem is now that after some time, a month later, you realize that you have to repeat the situation. Maybe you don't have any other place, any other point where to pass that street because something changed in the street, so you have to go again to that point where you experienced that fear emotion. At this point, you start to have another fear. You start to have the fear of experiencing that first fear. So the fear of fear. And the problem now is that this second fear will not go away because you are stuck in this situation. You have to go through that road, and that will create the first fear, and then this other fear will persist. Let's try to understand anxiety with another example. Let's say you have anxiety of social situations, social gatherings, social groups. So why is this? Well, because sometime in your life you were in a social situation and something bad happened. So that something bad created a negative emotion on you. So now you fear this situation. You fear the experience of this bad emotion. You worry of being in that emotion again. Now, in this other example, what you are fearing is the shame, perhaps, or another bad emotion. So the anxiety is the fear of experiencing this bad emotion again. So what is the solution? Well, first you need to understand the connection between the situation, the bad emotion that the situation creates, and the fear, the anxiety of experiencing that emotion. You fear experiencing that bad emotion again. So can you change the emotion that the situation creates? Probably not, because that's very deep rooted. But how about changing the fear of that emotion? So how about, instead of fearing that emotion, how about just observing it, being curious about that emotion, or just wondering about it and laughing at it? So just being genuinely curious about this certain emotion. So try to have it somewhere outside and just look at it. Then you start to change your perspective.